Hello everyone, this is Zooc, and today I'm going to be drawing Bane. And no, not John Bane, but Bane from the Batman series. More specifically, from the game Arkham Asylum, which I recently played and enjoyed. It had its ups and downs, but I'll get into that later. I chose this image of Bane because, first off, it was from a game that I played, and I like to do that. I like to draw stuff from games that I play. And secondly, because it was the most badass image of the character that I could find. The character first appeared in 1993 in the comics. And since then, it's been like, what, 18 years. His image has been revamped quite a number of times, both in comics, cartoons, and movies. So his appearance changed a lot, but I found his Arkham Asylum version to be the most interesting and attractive and badass. So that's why I chose this one. Now, a little bit of information about the actual character, as I usually like to give. Bane was born in a prison called Peña Dura. He was the son of a revolutionary. Supposedly, later on it turns out that his dad was someone else. But his supposed dad escaped from prison, so Bane was assigned his life sentence. So he had to serve for his father's crimes. And you can imagine, growing up in prison as a kid is not easy. He apparently committed his first murder at the age of 8, when someone was trying to use him as a means to obtain information about the prison. So I'm guessing either a hostage situation or something else. I can't really think of anything. So yeah, he killed a guy, and he carried around this teddy bear called Osito, which had a knife inside it. That's a cool idea. I should have done that when I was a kid. So yeah, he used that as a weapon against anyone that would try to attack him in there. And apparently Bane turned out to be a very intelligent individual. Unusually intelligent. So he was educated by a lot of the inmates that had any sort of relevant knowledge. He learned 6 languages. He learned a lot of sciences, apparently to an expert degree. So he was pretty pro. He also developed his own physical exercise routine and his own style of fighting, and he worked out a lot, so he was like super buff. And he kicked everyone's asses, and he became king of the prison. King was the word used. So he was top dog. And once the prison leadership noticed this, they chose him for an experiment with a drug that had killed previous test subjects, which all of you probably know as Venom. So Venom almost killed Bane, but he survived it, and he developed an instant addiction to it. He couldn't live without it. If he didn't take Venom, it would have very, very detrimental side effects. And the drug was like a super steroid sort of thing. It amplified his physical powers and his agility and his fighting ability and all that. But it had to be fed directly into his brain. So this contraption was created, like the wrist device you see there, that had a hose that went straight into his skull. Obviously, the backpack device that is in this version of him is Joker's work. So that's not how he usually looks like. But anyway, eventually he escaped prison and headed towards Gotham City because he wanted to kill Batman for no apparent reason whatsoever. He just heard of Batman and thought, hey, I want to kill this guy. So yeah, he went through a lot with Batman, and at one point in time they both thought that they were brothers. So Bane moved in with him and fought alongside him, killing his, or defeating his real father, which was King Snake in the comics. I'm not sure how many of you actually follow the comics. I don't, but I like the characters and the universe, so that's why this is sort of interesting to me as well. So anyway, it turned out that they weren't brothers, and he left and then changed his mind, and he wanted to kick Batman's ass again, and they had this whole back and forth going, and you know, they just went through a lot together. But anyway, that's about all the info I have about Bane. Now I guess I should talk about the drawing a little bit. I used reference for this as it's an image that's on Google Images from the actual game it's a very high resolution image, so I figured why the hell not. It had all the details that I wanted to see for myself, and of course I couldn't replicate every single one of them, because when you work in pencil there's a certain degree of limitation that you're faced with. But I think I did a pretty okay job. I was mostly interested in drawing this for the muscles, because he has very exaggerated muscles, being all buffed up as he is. And I like drawing muscles. It's my like new thing now, because I've always hated drawing humanoids. So if I can combine a creature sort of hybrid with humanoid traits, that's perfect, because I can practice drawing humanoids while also drawing something that I like. So I used the stylus a lot for this drawing. If you're watching this for the first time and still don't know what that is, I've explained in previous videos, and I have a video on my channel explaining what it is. It's basically a metal tip with which you create highlights. So anyway, I use that a lot for the small metal parts that you can find on his wristbands and on his collar, if you want to call it that. It's basically the round thing that covers his entire chest, which I'll be drawing in a little bit now. And also for the belt, that's part of the whole crazy contraption that Joker built for him. As for the encounter in the actual game, it's pretty brief. It was kind of disappointing, the whole fight with Bane. I had no idea who he was, because I didn't follow the comics, but after I did research, I found out that he was actually a pretty important character in the overall storyline with Batman. He appears in like a ton of comics. So the fact that the encounter with him in game was so brief and kind of meh wasn't really good, in my opinion. The fight is just pretty standard. There's nothing really special about it. So, but I like the overall look of the character. I mean, he looks pretty mean. You know, it's not a guy you would want to mess with. So I've gotten a lot of questions in my previous videos of people thinking that I actually start drawing without a sketch. No, I always have a framework, but I draw it in a graphite mechanical pencil, and then I erase most of it. So I just keep like very, very thin, barely noticeable lines on the paper, because I don't like having a mess that I later on have to erase. So I just prefer getting the details and the shape down in my head, and then just erasing it almost entirely, and just having a very minimal framework to start drawing on. So yeah, the camera doesn't actually pick that up. Obviously an HD real filming camera would pick it up, but no, this is just a webcam, so it's not that good. But it's there. All the sketch is there, so I'm okay, but I'm not that good. Yeah. Thanks for the compliments, though. You know, I appreciate it that people actually think that I start drawing from scratch and I get all the proportions right and everything. There are very few people that can actually achieve that. It's quite a significant feat. And if there's someone there that can do that, teach me, please. That would be great. So now I'm working on the hoses that run from his head and his shoulders and his arms and basically just about every body part into the little backpack device on his back that pumps venom into him. Hoses are one of my least favorite things to draw. If you've ever seen my Marauder video, I whine a lot about drawing hoses and tubes and chains. Things that hang. I don't like things that hang. I like things that are part of the character, you know. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Now I'm drawing his helmet, I think. I'm not sure if it's a mask or a metal helmet. It should be metal because it... maybe not. Yeah, I think it's metal, actually. Very uncertain of what it is that I'm actually drawing, but yeah, sometimes it happens. Minimal details on his face, just giving the impression of his eyes there and his mouth and whatever surrounds his neck. I think it's the sort of a fabric material. I'm not sure if it goes straight on the skin. But yeah, that is Bane, or at least the Arkham Asylum version of it. So I hope you enjoyed my little lesson about DC Comics history and characters and whatnot, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.